it's Lamont here. We back with another podcast video today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. A lot of things have been kind of changing and shifting around in the NBA. A lot going on with the players. So, before we really dive into all that information, again, we want to make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We definitely need your support, so that's the first thing you always got to do. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We definitely need your guys' support. Again, the channel's growth has been great so far, and with that growth comes sponsors. So we're gonna send it over to Steph here. Steph, just kind of run down that list of sponsors that we got. We got to make sure they get their credit before we get started. Then we're gonna jump right into the show.
What's going on, everybody? So as I scroll down this list of sponsors, we still don't have any, but we're going to keep it moving, man. I'm loving the growth. I'm loving, all the feedback, the comments that you guys are giving, and just the entertainment that we're bringing each day. So, man, we got a good one for y'all. A lot of things going on, and just going to talk about it, man.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Again, I'm sure as you guys already know, the NBA has announced its comeback starting in late July. And they're going to be playing in Orlando in that bubble. And again, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this idea of playing in this bubble. You hear some feedback from players who are opposed to it, such as Ray Allen. But then you hear, things from other players who are saying, we just got to do what we got to do. We got to go play in this bubble. Steph, how do you feel about those players actually going down there to play in that bubble? Do you think it's a good idea? And how do you think it's going to affect the outcome of the season?
Me personally, because of what's been going on, like those 16 players that, just tested positive for coronavirus. But, the season don't start until July 30th now. So, they have a month, to quarantine themselves and get everything going. I feel, I've been going back and forth, in my feelings or how to feel about the NBA season coming back. Because at first I was like, I didn't want them to come back. it was too much going on, with the racism, coronavirus. But now, I'm like, man, I'm hungry. I'm itching and scratching, bro. I'm ready to get the season started to see, just to see basketball again, bro. Like it just feel like something's been missing, and that's what it is, man. And I'm excited. Those players that's ready to get down there, I'm sure they're excited as well. We do still have a bigger fight, but if we come together and do what's needed to be done, we'll be all right, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, man. One of the biggest things that's happened, since the NBA announced that it's going to be playing, is one thing we've heard a lot is about a lot of these players who are testing positive for COVID-19.
Right.
Some of the bigger names, we're talking about Malcolm Brogdon of the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
We have Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. These are two star players of their teams. And these are two star players of playoff teams. And so both of these players have came out, and they both came out and immediately said, we're already in quarantine. We're not just in quarantine, but we're also going to be down in Orlando ready to play. Do you think that could also, pose a risk, since we, especially since we don't know a lot about the coronavirus, do you think it's a good idea to just quarantine these players and then send them down to Orlando once they're cleared? Or do you think that these players who test positive for coronavirus should just sit this one out because, again, they pose too much of a risk of potentially spreading this off to other players?
Well, that was some of the things that they were looking to implement anyway, about nightly testing for COVID-19. So those players that does test positive during the season will be quarantined in different areas or sent back to specific location just to quarantine. Then they're able to rejoin their team. So we still have to figure out. Just to walk away from this situation just a little bit, just not about basketball, but in the world period, we still have to find ways to quarantine. I mean, everywhere you go, we have to have a mask. We have to do this and that. I'm not against it, but I'm just saying it just don't feel like life. So dealing with the NBA as well. I mean, we still have to find ways to get back to our normal routine, and that's just living life in general, man. It's just like it's just crazy. It feel like we're living in a movie. But like I said, I'm all for the NBA. I know in the past videos I'm like, nah, they shouldn't play or anything like that. But I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. So I don't think it's going to mess up anything. They have everything taken care of now. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how everything goes.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see how these teams address players who've already contracted coronavirus, and then not just contracted it even once they're cleared. Like, do we know enough about the virus to say that it's still not lingering in their body? There's still not a risk to
Right.
spread it to others. So again, there's still a lot of questions. Hopefully, these NBA doctors can get to the bottom of these questions
Yeah.
and make sure that these players can get down to Orlando and play. But from what we're hearing, of all the players that have tested positive for coronavirus that are on playoff teams, what we're hearing is that all of these players plan to resume playing in Orlando as soon as they're cleared to play. So
Right.
we haven't really seen that large influx of players just coming out, just outright saying we're not playing. And again, that's quite surprising because prior to the NBA announcing this official comeback, um, there were just rumors that a lot of players would refuse to play due to COVID-19 or these social issues. We just haven't seen that yet. So, like I said, I wish the NBA the best. I'm glad that they're trying to restart the season because, again, like you said, we have to try to get back to normalcy. We have to
Yeah.
try to start this, if not now, then when? So it's going to get to a point in time where we have to try to make something work. We have to try to make something happen. So at least I do appreciate the NBA for making
Yeah.
this happen. Now, another thing that I've been thinking about as well, when I looked at some of the players that were getting signed. I know, when we look at some of these players who have been signed, we have players like Corey Brewer. He was signed a couple days ago by the Sacramento Kings. We have Anthony Tolliver, and then we also have we have David Nwaba. These were the first three players signed. Now it was just kind of surprising when I saw that move by the Sacramento Kings to sign Corey Brewer about 3 days ago, and then it comes out today that Jabari Parker has coronavirus. So I think that some of these NBA teams were already aware of some players testing positive. That's what I'm almost under. I'm almost under the
Right.
impression that they were already aware of this and that these players have already begun the quarantine process. Because again, there was essentially no reason for the Sacramento Kings to sign Corey Brewer. And so do you think these teams have been doing their own testing already? You think they know some things that they haven't really released to the public? Because like I said, there are a list of players getting signed, and again, these are even from teams that haven't even announced any players having COVID-19. But I can tell in the future that they may be making some of these announcements later. What do you
Oh
think
yeah.
about that?
I say 100%. They definitely been doing their own research and trying to figure out things to help better the players because at the end of the day, it's still a business. Those players still work for that team. I mean, if they don't play, they don't make money. You feel what I'm saying? So of course, I'm going to go out my way and try to figure out different ways that I can help. Talk to other doctors, other teams. Just to see how they can better help and protect their players going from now until the start of the 2021 season as well. So because it begins on the 30th.
Now, what do you think
That
about what do you think about the players getting signed? Like, as far as the players getting signed, are they the good move? Are they the right moves? And like I said, do you think these teams have? Do you think these teams have already known about some of these positive coronavirus tests for weeks or days ahead?
I think so. And then with the teams doing the signings, I feel like if you're not signing, if it's not the Lakers, I would say like championship contender teams that's signing players. I don't think it really mattered. Like the Sacramento Kings signing Corey Brewer. Um, what does that do? I mean, they're not winning nothing this year. Just to be 100, you know what I'm saying? They're not doing anything. So I mean, I'm not even worried about teams like that right now. Only teams that I'm worried about is the teams that I know for sure that can win a championship. So like the Boston Celtics, the 76ers, the Bucks, Lakers, Clippers. You know what I'm saying? Teams like that, the Houston Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to see what type of moves they're looking to make. Like if there's been talks around the J.R. Smith situation for a while, and that's before Avery Bradley decided to sit out. So it'd be interesting to see, bro. I really think they're gonna get J.R. Smith. I really think the Lakers gonna, they need another shooter. I understand that he's streaky, but I mean, we don't have nobody to knock down. We don't have a knockdown shooter. You know what I'm saying? So that's something some player we need. He needs to play with LeBron. You know what I'm saying? He know what to expect. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think these teams like the Kings are making these signings because at the end of the day, none of these teams want to go all the way down to Orlando and get into this bubble and then not make the playoffs. So again, it would do, for the Kings, not just, although we know that they're probably not going to win the NBA championship, they have a lot of young players on that team. To put those young players in a playoff situation, maybe against one of the top teams in the league, I think that could do some good going into next season. So again, I think these teams are just wanting to take advantage, get the most out of this tournament in the bubble. And I think the best way to do it is just by getting veterans signed, getting your roster filled out so you can actually compete. And we know Corey Brewer and players like that can actually compete.
Right, I think some of the players some of the teams, they just want to play. Like, you have, out of the 22 teams, you have the Wizards. The Wizards not making the playoffs, bro. They was nowhere near making the playoffs. So that's why I feel like some of the teams, they just want to play, which is understandable. I definitely understand. You haven't played ball since March.
Well, I think it's deeper than just playing because, again, a lot of these teams, especially the lower-seeded teams, got a lot of young players. They're trying to develop guys. They're trying to get them experienced play. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still going to be considered playoff basketball. So, again, if you can get these guys – again,
but it's a little different too, man.
It's definitely –
that crowd plays a big factor.
No, it's definitely different. But, again, it's just about no team wants to go down there and then just have to leave after 8 games. Like, teams want to go down there to make the playoffs and be eligible for the playoffs, and they at least give themselves opportunity because with this long layover, anything can happen, I feel. So I think we're going to see more than ever lower-seeded teams beating higher-seeded teams. So the Sacramento Kings, a team full of young legs, a lot of shooters, could potentially put out a higher-seeded team, if their cards fall right. Again, like you said, it's not a natural basketball environment. There's no crowd. There's really no home court advantage. So I really feel like a lot of these teams can take advantage of this because it's not a natural basketball setting. So I think every team needs to re-up and make sure their rosters are filled out and not take this just lightly going down there because I think everybody has an opportunity to win. As we're going to run down the list. There's a few more players. I want you to let me know what you think about these other players getting signed. We got Oklahoma City. They signed Lorenzen Dort. We got San Antonio Spurs signed Tyler Zeller. We got the Brooklyn Nets. They signed Tyler Johnson, the point guard out of Phoenix. Houston Rockets. They actually waived their center, so I'm assuming they're looking to. Well, I'm assuming they're looking to bring in somebody else. I'm not for sure who. And then we have the Brooklyn Nets. They also waived guard Theo Pinson. So I can tell the Nets are, the Nets look like they're priming themselves to make a run. With the signing of Tyler Johnson, that's a more experienced defensive-minded point guard. Same with the San Antonio Spurs by signing Tyler Zeller.
So with those players, I understand with the Zeller because LaMarcus Aldridge is out due to shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. But I mean, those players are not going to do anything. They're not going to change anything on those teams. No, like even with the Brooklyn Nets, I feel like they're just making space to go after a third piece or whatnot.
No, I think the only way the Nets can actually make space is by getting rid of Dinwiddie and LeVert and some of those guys. I think
Right, which what they're going to do. What I'm saying though, they still have to have some bodies. You know what I'm saying, just in case things don't fall into
but you
place.
can tell. But when you bring in a guard like Tyler Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
a veteran guard, um, who's had a lot of experience in the NBA, and then you waive a young guard in Theo Pinson out of North Carolina, that tells me right there that they have the mindset that they're going into this with the idea of making a deeper run. You don't bring in a guy like Tyler Johnson.
But do you really? Well, I mean, you can say they're trying to make a deeper run, but no Kyrie, no KD. How far do you think that team really is going to get?
But again, I think
No DeAndre Jordan.
but it goes back to this is not a natural basketball environment. And then if you think
That
about
that
it, the Nets played better without Kyrie this year. They played their best basketball year without Kyrie and KD. And so again, it's about getting these guys as much game, as many games under their belt as possible, so they can get ready going in the next season. Again, we're not saying that these teams are going to win it all, but this can give you can really see what guys you want to keep and how you want to fill out your roster for next year. If these guys can make a deep run, you can see who really has it, who steps up, who doesn't. A lot of people
so
are down on Tyler Johnson.
and that's a story for later, like you just touched on. The Brooklyn Nets played better without Kyrie. The Celtics, they played better without Kyrie. So is Kyrie hazardous in the locker room, or is it just the team environment? Is he better as a number two instead of a number one? Is he better as a, you know what I'm saying, or Robin instead of a Batman? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, like I said, I've always thought that, but I mean, when you have a guard who dominates the ball like that, and you have a lot of young players who are looking to touch the ball and get a lot of touches, people are gonna get frustrated. So he's been in two situations where, with the Celtics, he's been surrounded by a lot of young players. That's a pass-oriented offense where the ball moves. It's not necessarily a lot of ISO one-on-one. Same thing with the Nets. We saw the Nets last year. I know D'Angelo Russell was ball dominant, but again, that offense was primed on a lot of pick and roll, a lot of ball movement.
So he moved the ball a lot, though. You know
so again, it was like I said that is another story for another day. I just see with the Nets signing players like Tyler Johnson, it tells me that even teams that aren't the top five are putting themselves in a position to compete in this tournament. So I could tell that these teams are taking it seriously. So that's what I appreciate about this. So I know we're not going to go down there and see bad basketball. We're actually going to see some competitive basketball, even from the lower tier teams, because like I said, nobody wants to go down there and then just get wiped out in 8 games and have to go right back home. But again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, as this pans out.
To see just a team just out of nowhere that no one expects to win a championship.
Who do you think is a sleeper team?
Bro.
Who's your sleeper team?
It has to be the Rockets, bro. It has to be the Rockets.
Are they a sleeper though?
Yeah, if we're being realistic, yes. I feel like they're a sleeper.
I don't know.
You have two superstar players on that team who's known for choking in playoffs. James Harden, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, but there's two of the top 10 players in the NBA. Whenever you got two of the top 10 players in the NBA, I don't think you're a sleeper. I think everybody knows who you are.
Right, everyone knows who they are. Of course that, but do everyone really thinks the Houston Rockets are even capable right now of winning the championship?
I mean, with Chris Paul, they were essentially one game away.
That's a fact, but they had a complete roster too. They had center. I don't understand the trade of Clint Capella anyway. I feel like that was a huge key piece in the Houston Rockets as a team. You know what I'm saying? But again, with the choking in the playoffs, you had James Harden, you had Clint Capella, numerous of times choking in the playoffs.
All right, I think my sleeper team would be the Celtics, primarily because of the coaching and the youth. I mean,
like that.
nobody. Again, coming off this long layover.
I agree with with you for sure. I was going off just the West sleeper, somebody that, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm just talking about in general, like an entire NBA.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, there's a lot of sleeper teams. I think New Orleans could be a sleeper. Could upset some teams. Nobody wants to play a team that plays that fast right now.
Right now, true.
Again, they have an extremely high pace, and then not only a high pace, but with Lonzo and Drew Holiday, defensively, that's stout. And with guys, a lot of guys aren't going to be in their offensive rhythm. If you're not in your offensive rhythm, and you got defenders like Lonzo and Drew Holiday on you on the perimeter, I think that could
other things.
Yeah, that could throw a good team's offense off, especially if they don't have rhythm. So I'm curious to see how this pans out. I feel like, again, this tournament is set up for upsets.
Inexperience might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to go out there and play. They're just going to run. That's all we need you to do, run. Especially the young teams. It might play in their favor. It'd be, like I said, like I always say, it'd be interesting to find out, bro.
Yeah, I'd be real curious to see how this pans out. But
definitely, man.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap this show up. Again, we just wanted to make sure everybody knew what was going on with the NBA. The NBA is going to be back. They actually just announced today. Players Association officially signs off on terms to restart the season. Orlando's schedule is set to be announced Friday night. So, again, now that the things are finally finalized, not just with the NBA, but now they've come to terms with the Players Association.
Right.
So now we know it's official. So again, as we head towards that July 1st deadline, that's going to be the final deadline for teams. Teams will have to announce their rosters on July 1st. And so as we creep up on that date, we're really, really going to start seeing what players are going to drop off. What my biggest thing is, I haven't seen any players vehemently say that they're sitting out due to these social issues. So I'm really curious as to what the NBA is actually doing in combination with the players, where the players feel that they don't have to sit out for the social issues any longer. So, but I can't wait though. I can't wait. What do you got on it?
I mean, I see that Trevor Ariza is not playing for the Blazers. I don't think the Blazers going to make it anyway, but I think that hurt them overall. Just what he brings to a team, veteran leadership, champion, defensive, offensive, knockdown shooter. So, I mean, I can't wait, bro. Like I'm excited to see how this all plans out. Hopefully, everybody stays safe. COVID free, and man, we keep pushing. Not just the NBA, but the world. Period, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I mean, like I said, I'm glad that the NBA has got something finalized. I'm glad we have a set date where we're gonna actually see some NBA basketball, and I'm curious to see how it's actually gonna look. What is the NBA gonna do to make sure that fan view from the television set mirrors what they have been used to seeing. And I know, are they going to start filtering in crowd noise? Are they going to bring in some of these teams' home floors so that it can kind of be some semblance of having home court advantage? What is the NBA going to do to make this mirror competitive basketball?
Are they going to be filming in 2K or broadcast since there's no crowd? That'd be interesting to see too.
Yeah.
I don't want to see no empty seats. They need to just, have that, just get the whole court. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see no empty seats because, it's never, nobody will be there.
I think they tried the broadcast view and nobody liked it for live TV. Yeah, they tried it. They have a camera that goes across the middle of the court that kind of gets those action cuts like that. And I think they tried it for a season and it wasn't really popular, so they just went back to the traditional view. But again, the NBA is back. It is official. The schedule will be coming out this Friday, and then once the schedule comes out, then we have more to talk about because then we can look at these matchups. We can look at these matchups. We can see how teams are going to start strategizing for this, and then I'm really curious to see how these rosters start to pan out because that's what's going to matter. What are the Lakers going to do to fix some of these holes? Is Dwight Howard going to play? Is he going to sit? You know, if he does sit, how are they going to fill that hole in such a short amount of time? So we don't know. But by this Friday, we will have some definite answers, and we will be back to report on it. But as we wrap this show up, again, we would like to let everybody know that we do appreciate all the support on social media. Again, Instagram and Twitter has kind of been going crazy. One thing, as I would like to hear more from you guys in our DMs. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if you got any questions or concerns. If you want to come on the show, if you want to speak with us, again, those are all questions that you can ask us in our DMs, and we'll reach back out to you. But again, the last thing, always make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, because on a regular basis, we will be dropping 2 to 3 videos daily at a minimum. So again, you're going to want to have that notification bell active so you can be alerted every time we drop a video, because we have a lot of breaking news videos coming. So whenever that news drops, we're going to bring that to you. But what we do is we always bring it to you from that unfiltered perspective. So as we end, Steph, you got anything you want to let the fans know?
Yeah, man, appreciate the love and support like always. Definitely follow us on Facebook, FYF Go Talk, NBA Go Talk.
So we got 2 Facebook pages. So we got our Facebook page, which is FYF Sports Debates. But if you want to participate in the live debates, you want to make sure you join our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is called NBA GOAT Talk. Now, there are a lot of groups out there with similar names. They try to be a fake group like us. So you'll see GOAT NBA. No, you want to go to NBA GOAT Talk. Look for the FYF Debates logo. That's how you can identify our group. And when you join, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell as well on the YouTube page, because we will be having live YouTube debates, live Facebook debates. And if you are taking part in those debates, you will be eligible to win cash prizes, gift cards, and things of that nature. So you're going to want to be a part of that when we get to 500 members. So we got FYF Sports Debates on Facebook, but make sure you join the group NBA Go Talk.
Yeah, and if we get a lot of comments and things of that nature, you like, comment, subscribe. We'll start doing post notifications, shout outs at the end of our videos too. So look out for that.
Yes, sir. All right, but again, we appreciate all the support. This has been a good show. We got a lot of news out there. Again, I'm curious to see how the NBA handles this, but we will be finding out soon. But again, it's FYF Sports. Another great podcast episode, and we'll be back with another one pretty soon. FYF Sports, we out.